case anyone didn't hear, I am going to be stepping down as the chamber director in May. So, stop that. So, we'll start putting that application process out at the end of this month. But again, it will be a long process. I'm still here for one more month. I mean, one more winter. Sorry.
She's already gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Did just get back from our scout trip. So, thanks for coming. This is the 2019-20 Winter Economic Forecast. There were agendas up at the front if you'd like to grab one. There's also some pins if anyone needs to take notes on those. And I put together not a comprehensive list of all the winter events going on, but one is as close as I could get. So if you want to grab that as well, it's also at the front. I put this together using the Gunnison Valley calendar, the community calendar that the Chamber and KBUT and TAP and a number of other entities put together. Oh, I want to say it was 2 years ago now. Remember, Andrew? 2 years. So if your events aren't on there, it's probably because they weren't on there last year and they're not on there yet. Make sure you get your events onto that calendar. The calendar is GunnisonValleyCalendar.com. We chose a simple name. I have just got, before we get started, I've got a few event updates from the Chamber. We have our next business after hours open to Chamber members and our guests coming up on November 26th. It's going to be over at the Nordic Center, and it is with Octopus Coffee. And then on December 10th, just 2 weeks later, we have our December after hours at the Mountain Clinic up on the mountain. So do come join us for those. And the December one is co-hosted by the Avalanche Center. So then Light Up Night Weekend, we're a little out of order now. Light Up Night Weekend is actually before the December after hours. So that's on December 6th through the 8th. We are going to be running the Butte Bucks program again. We'll be doing window display contest, reindeer scavenger hunt, and Santa will be lighting the tree in Mount CD on Saturday. 12th night is on Monday, January 6th. Jim, is that the right one? Awesome. And then Colorado Crafted, our winter version of Chilean beer, is on Saturday, February 1st. I told you about the calendar of winter events. If you did not sign in, do that before you head out. If you want a copy of what's not showing up behind me, I can send it to you. Just drop your email address off on the sign-in sheet and I can send this to you. And with that, we'll start with CB Nordic Center. And it's actually Laura, not Christy. Sorry.
Okay. Do you think we can get that going, or?
Oh, it should be. It was. All of you saw it going, right? It was working. I don't think I turned this on. Yeah. It's coming.
Okay, I'll take this moment to introduce myself. I'm Laura Puckett-Daniels. Some of you know me. I used to work at the school. Before that, I worked at the Nordic Center. I am now back at the Nordic Center. I'm the current marketing and development director there. So I'm going to try to go through this pretty quickly. I know this is the economic forecast. We don't do a lot of forecasting at the Nordic Center, but I can speak to you about historical numbers and trends that we've seen over the last 10 or so years, and hopefully use those to forecast where we're going this year, or what we can hope for. So, I made some really pretty slides.
She really did.
I made a custom theme. Okay, we'll see if they come up, but I'm just going to start talking because I know there's a lot to get through tonight. So, in last year, 2018-19, we saw over 30,000 skier days through the Nordic Center, and that was about 30% growth over the year before, which is honestly not atypical for us. We've seen at least 10% growth every year for the last 10 years, and so we are anticipating more growth again this year. We seem to be on an upward trajectory that's not stopping. We are grateful that Nordic skiing can be awesome even when there's not a lot of snow. So that helps us weather years where the weather doesn't cooperate. So whether it's a good year or a bad year for snow, we tend to do pretty well. Honestly, we do better in low snow years because you guys all want to go see powder when we have it. Last year we also saw 1,500 season passes. That was again like a 36% growth over the year before. Part of that is through some new initiatives that we started. We are giving free rentals when you have a season pass, so that's been great. We also give season passes and rentals to kids, so kids ski for free here in the valley. But of our 1,500 season passes, 1,000 were adult season passes. And when you think about the population of the upper end of the valley, we're pretty psyched about that. It's about 4,500 people around Mountain North, is my understanding. So far this year, we've sold 940 early season passes, so we are anticipating meeting and hopefully surpassing that past sales again this year. It's okay. I'm very captivating.
Really
You don't need
we'll just like blow through the slides if they come up. We sold about 4,000 day passes last year, so those are day users of the Nordic Center trails. In addition, we had about 218 10 punch passes. A 10 punch is 10 day tickets. So all told, that's about 6,000 day users of the trails. These day pass sales are typically fairly consistent year over year. And this is really an estimate, but we think we probably parallel the ski area we do parallel the CDMR in our peak kinds of year, but probably about like 10% of the user days they're seeing. But what you can take away from that is our busiest times of year are the busy times of year we all see. We do bring Nordic ski visitors to the valley. People do come for a Nordic ski vacation, but we also see a lot of alpine skiers come down and take a lesson or do a tour or go to a yurt dinner. Like we believe that what we're offering is a great enhancement to an alpine ski vacation, and it seems to, like our population that we draw from geographically seems to parallel what we know about the ski area. So we do think those two things can kind of go hand in hand. Okay, so you want to just like, 30,000 skier days, 1,500 season passes, 4,000 day passes. Oh, here's the big number. We had an economic impact study done a couple years ago, and we estimate about $2.5 million in annual economic activity. That, in addition, we are producing $200,000 in sales and lodging tax revenue through the visitors that we're generating. So even though we're your little flat ski area in town, we do like to think that we make an impact economically on our valley. And again, we like to think that we are helping diversify the economy and create more sustainability, because our product can be good in lots of different kinds of weather and lots of different kinds of seasons, and for lots of different kinds of people. We know that not everyone who comes to visit loves to downhill ski every single day, so we're enriching their vacation as well as enriching the lives of locals who want other things to participate in. A little off now. Oh, good, yeah, events. But you can't read that at all. I'll tell you the numbers. So, we do host some of the biggest, if not the biggest, events in the valley. The Alley Loop saw 910 people last year, and we're hoping to hit 1,000 this year. That is going to be on February 1st this year. That should be on your list of events. The Grand Traverse Ski can take up to 500 participants. We're seeing around 450 right now, and we started a marketing push this year to hopefully fill that out all the way to 500. In the summer, the Grand Traverse Run and Bike have really grown. They are also between 450 and 500 participants during Labor Day weekend. Okay, we do offer things besides events, even though those are our biggest drivers of visitation to the valley. I don't know if you could see on the last slide, but it's like or can you go back one?
Oh, back one, sorry.
Again.
One more.
You can kind of read it. So the Grand Traverse has like 75 to 90% of participants are from out of valley, and the Alley Loop is similar. It's about 74 participants. So they really are draws for people to come here and spend the weekend. And most people bring friends and spend more than one night. So there are events to pay attention to, but besides that, we rent equipment, we do day tickets, we do lessons, backcountry tours, dinners at the Magic Meadows Yurt, which we've been able to double. So this year we'll have 22 dinners. And we're also hosting the Masters Community Programs now, which are ski instruction for adults. Those have grown to more than 100 participants. So if any of you would like to learn to ski better, we would love to have you join the Masters community. There is something for every level. And of course, sorry, now you can go forward. Our youth programs, and these serve primarily local youth, have over 140 kids in the after-school programs, and we do Ski for PE, which takes all the elementary schoolers in the valley out skiing at some point during their elementary school tenure. key dates, which you also are having trouble reading, so I'll tell you. We pick weekends for the most part that are pretty slow to try to host our events so that we're a boon to the economy when you need it. The Thanksgiving camp is coming up November 28th to 30th. This year we're going to kick off the holidays on December 21st with a junior national qualifier. That is a competitive ski event for Nordic skiers in the region, and that will bring about 300 youth plus their families for the weekend of racing. The pub ski is January 30th, and then the alley loop is February 1st, so you can come ski in the alley loop before you go to Crafted in the afternoon. The Gothic Mountain Tour is February 23rd, and then the Grand Traverse we have pushed to a Saturday this year. Usually it's like a Friday to Saturday, and this year it's going to be Saturday to Sunday with like the expo on Friday. So that will be March 28th and March 29th. I think that is it. Does anyone have any questions?
How's the snow looking up that early for the Thanksgiving time?
Well, we could use a little more, but the report is that the skiing is surprisingly good. It is not groomable yet. We definitely need more snow to be able to groom, and so to be able to have skate skiing, you need the groomed trails. So we're definitely doing some serious figuring about how some of that could look. The homologated trail on the bench, the trail in the woods there, is also holding snow pretty well. Up at Lily Lake, my understanding is the meadows have some dry spots, but the actual road is pretty good. So if you guys want to go out and take your rock skis, it's a great place. We're still, for 30 years, we've been able to hold the Thanksgiving camp on snow. So we're just,
You got 2 weeks.
you know, looks like the end of next week, maybe. Other questions?
The shift in the Grand Traverse to Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Just
It seemed like we were getting feedback that it would be easier for people to not have to take that Friday off of work. So people can, if they can, they can get into town that night, do the gear check and everything, and then Saturday they'll have the day in town, maybe frequent some of your establishments, and then Saturday night, the midnight start, finish on Sunday, still get back to work on Monday. So just trying to make it feasible for folks.
Thanks.
Okay, great.
Next up, we have Lauren Ahonen from Gunnison Valley Regional Housing Authority, and he is the GVH Program Administrator.
Yeah, so my preference is a little non-traditional here relative to, I guess, my ability to economically forecast, right? We're a nonprofit that helps people get into homes, so that's not essentially sort of forecasting ability, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys a rundown of what's been happening in 2019 with the Housing Authority, and I'm here in lieu of my Executive Director, Jennifer, who's out of town. And so I specifically run our energy efficiency programs, which are a small subset of the component of what's being talked about here. So you can jump ahead. One of the things I think that a lot of folks don't quite understand is the breakdown of the different organizations in the Valley and what we do and things. The Housing Authority is not primarily, but a significant component of what we do. There's 4 people on staff. We are property managers. We're a property manager for a building up here that's relevant to a lot of people in your community, Anthracite Place Apartments. Most of you probably know where that is. 30 units, right now we have 3 open, 4 people, actually more than 4 people on the waiting list. There's 4 people with full applications, so those will be full, I would think, in a matter of weeks. Based on my understanding, I, again, don't directly work in that building. We also manage units, townhomes in Stallion Park, the Estonian building, which has been around for a while, and then the new units that the county's built in Elk Valley is what they're calling it, Elk Valley Townhomes. It's about 35 feet from the Estonian building, but it has a dramatically different name, right? Beautiful views out on the backside, so I can see why we would call it Elk Valley Townhomes there. There's 7 of those that have now come online. The county's done with them, and we're in process of filling 4 of those remaining units in their, again, built by the county. Jim here has been more involved in this process than I have. He's on our board, Jim Schmidt. But from my experience in the time there, beautiful units, and so a great opportunity there for people. That's something that everyone would go through an application process, and they move forward on income qualification, all sorts of things to make sure that, again, that they can access these assets appropriately and that we're housing people who live and work in the valley. We help manage deed restrictions in a lot of different places that are created and implemented by the municipalities. And so we have a master deed restriction and things that we help use as a reference tool, but that's there. And then the school district, as many of you know, is contracted with housing on the north end of the valley. There's 2 townhomes there, and I believe we started an application to fill the second one with somebody 2 weeks ago. So I think those will be full. You can go ahead. And so that's one component of what we do. We also, as a part of the deed restriction, property management kind of world, we help facilitate the goals of our stakeholder municipalities. Most recently, you can see these going up in town. It's the Paradise Park Block 76 extension. It's 15 homes. So we did the lottery qualification process for that. People filled out applications. We determined how many bids they received in the lottery, and then we administered the whole lottery to determine who got to bid on which lots and units. And now they've all moved through individual contracting for their homes. I should not call them units, right? They're homes. Is what we would like to think about that as. And so those are all in the contracting stage. And Joel, the developer, is well ahead of schedule by the accounts that I know of. And when we originally targeted that folks would be moving in February and March, are now getting indication that they can be contracted and moving in January and even some in December. So they're into February as well. So that's one thing that's been going on this year. Another big thing that is more of a South Valley impact potentially, but for our workforce, as you all know, the housing dynamic is a little fluid and people are all over the place. We did break ground on the 29th of October on 36 units in a public-private partnership of apartments. These are all targeted at folks below 60% AMI, and some of the units are reserved for people under 30% AMI. And so that's Gunnison AMI, but that's division of the whole county. And so, again, these units will be online hopefully by next winter. And then again, there's no sort of deed restriction for these other than people's income, right? But the goal being that these are some of our service industry workers, folks who are working on either end of the valley, up and down, in marginal income circumstances, who need a nice new place to live. So we have some renderings and things of the buildings. I didn't feel like that was relevant to kind of bring into the conversation for you all at the moment, but that's on tap and moving forward. And so how that works is that we don't in fact own the building, whereas we manage, in a pass-off, the Anthracite Place building, and we're in charge of holding. Belmont, who is the developer here, will own this. We've entered into a special limited partnership with the developer that allows them to have a tax credit for a substantial amount of money that is then passed through over time in the ability to build at a lower cost, since they don't have to pay property tax. Since technically we own less than 1% of it as a special limited partner. You can go ahead. We helped facilitate work again on more housing projects in the Gunnison area. Did some developer bid review for Lot 22, which is an extension of an existing neighborhood on county property in Gunnison, and also for a Lazy K property, which is hypothetically in plans still to be a park in Gunnison that will also have housing on the west side of town near the river. And then just an update for you all kind of on, this is the world I more directly work in. These are the programs I run. We're trying to expand, as you can see. We've had this program in the Valley for 2 years. This Energy Smart Colorado helps us run residential energy assessments to help everybody in the room or businesses identify ways to save money on their utility costs. The incentive for that is to identify ways to save money down the line, right? Which is a different pitch than some of these programs that we run. But so working on our efficacy in that program is a continued goal. I'm working with Mel and Michael Yerman about future goals of the Crested Butte Climate Action Plan and how that might involve residential energy assessments and a variety of things in that world. But a big point of success is moving from, in 2018, we have several programs that are income qualified, and if households qualify for these programs, we deliver free retrofit services to the household, increasing attic insulation, air sealing, crawl spaces, floor insulation, things like that. We did 9 households in 2018. By the end of the program year, we'll have done 39. Well, so we did 19, and we'll have done 39 by the end of this year. So those are kind of indirect financial impacts for people in our community, which is not necessarily the intent, I don't think, of the conversation here this evening, but these things all have serious imperatives on our workforce level folks in the community, and that's kind of our presence here. And so any questions, I don't want to take too much of your time. Yeah.
What or where is Stallion Park?
Stallion Park is off of, it's in the Buckhorn Ranch property.
Okay.
Yep. For lack of a better term. Everything has different parks and ranch and name.
First tall condo.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, thanks, Lauren.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Next up is Mayor Schmidt from town. This presenters, this area is a little hazardous, just be careful. I made it a little tough for you.
Okay, oh, it doesn't seem that tough. Hi, I'm Jim Schmidt, I'm the mayor of Crest Butte, and if you did vote for me, thank you very much. Voting for me is a tough election. We new council, I'm really pleased with it, and it's going to be great. We don't do a whole lot of forecasting either, so I'm going to kind of tell you what we've done this last year and what we're going to be doing this next year to keep the town running. I've been told by a good source that we're going to have as much snow as we did last year. And we moved over 3,800 dump truck loads of snow from the town streets to behind the school, a huge amount of snow. We keep the streets open. We are half with Mount Crested Butte of the Mountain Express and keep the buses running. And that moves a lot of people. It functions with the skier days. Usually if Mountain Express ridership is up, our sales tax is up, skier days is up, and we can usually follow that. Sales tax in 2019 is up only about 3%. It has been flat through the summer, basically. September was actually down a little, but last September was, through the roof. A lot of people feel that we're going to make up for it in October. It seemed like the leaves lasted a little longer this year. We got a lot more people coming in October, so we expect it to go up then. Lauren stole some of my stuff about affordable housing, but we have been undergoing, well, first of all, the council made a couple of goals a few years ago, and one of the goals was to have 75% of the units in town occupied long-term, either by ownership or long-term rent. Where are we at now, Dara? 60? 65%. So we're somewhat going to get to that with affordable housing. We also made a goal to have 30% of the units in town to be deed-restricted housing. And that's all kinds of deed-restricted, from the accessory dwelling units to the for-sale units to rental units like Anthracite Place. It involves also town-owned things that we put some of our employees in. We have the same problems as everybody else, but it's actually somewhat more essential that we have like snowplow drivers up here. It's always a good idea to have them close when it snows. We're at about, well, when this project in Block 76 gets done, will be about 25% of the units in town as deed restricted, and we're shooting for 30%. There are 31 units under construction, 15 on Block 76, and we pushed that ahead way back when we did the Virgin annexation. That half a block we discussed with the developer, which is Bill Lacey, that we were going to decide at the end whether that was going to be more park or more affordable housing. And it was supposed to be after everything else was built out. It was obvious that we needed for affordable housing, and we pushed that ahead. So went through these the other day. A few other people out here went through them, and I was really pleased with the units. And I did go through the Stallion Park units too. They're really quite nice out there. These are quite nice, and Joel has done a great job. He is way ahead of schedule, 2-3 months ahead of schedule, and he said he's even going to be getting the landscaping in before the snow flies. He's the only one who wants the snow to not quite fly yet. Like I say, 31 units are under construction, 17 to be complete by February, and that includes a couple town rental units, 10 completed by next summer. The fire department is building a threeplex out there for affordable housing, and then we're going to build another single unit that's actually going to help out the Nordic Center. They're going to be able to park a snowcat out there, and it's also going to be a place near the boat launch and all that, so we can kind of monitor those type of things. Okay, next slide. Climate action program. This has become a pretty important thing with town, a real important thing. And some of it is, frankly, we've been shamed. We've been shamed by Greta Thunberg. We had Nola Hadley get up in front of us last week and say that, you know, everybody from town has been telling the kids to stop smoking and stop vaping, and her response was, the kids are saying, why bother, the world's going to hell. And we feel very strongly that we want to give those kids a reason to stop smoking and stop vaping and stuff like that. We know we can't do much here. We're just a little bit in the whole global thing, but we're real serious about it. We'd like all the businesses to take part in whatever way they can. CBMR has a very good program that they're doing, and we've applied for a grant for some more electric vehicles. We already have the 2 motorcycles that are electric, and some of the, but we hope to have electric police car by next year, and another electric vehicle for the town staff. We're doing an energy audit of town now, of all the town buildings, to see if we can tighten them up in any way. And we hope that the businesses take part in there. Our short-term goals are to reduce, well, you can see this stuff here, reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by 2023, and the community's emissions by 25% by 2023. The long-term goals, to power with 100% renewable energy. We've been talking to GCEA a lot about everything from a solar farm down by Gunnison and or powering up the Taylor Reservoir. It's a big dam with a lot of flow that has no power plant right now. And we want to be partners with them and get involved with them. We have a draft plan for public comment on our website. There's going to be a community meeting about this at the Center for the Arts at 6 p.m. And the council is going to adopt the plan on the 16th, hopefully. We have 4 focused areas: building, energy use, you know, how tight buildings are, renewable energy, and I just talked about some of that stuff, transportation, not only looking at town vehicles to be electric, but also even, we were out in Park City, they have 43 buses in their fleet, 13 of which are electric buses. They're not cheap, over $1 million each. Aspen just put 2 electric buses online, and we have 6 more they're about to put online. Waste reduction, and that's something that CBMR has done a lot of work on. Okay, for 2020, some projects. We're going to pave the alley behind the Wood Nickel, and you know, we've been talking about doing that for a long time. Henderson Park is a small park that's over on White Rock and 3rd, and we're going to do an upgrade on that. We're finishing the climate action plan. Community Compass is kind of we're doing this with Mount Crested Butte as kind of just a general idea of where we're going to be going in the next few years. It's not It's to direct the council to keep them going on and focused on, to make this town a great town. More affordable housing. We don't have a whole lot of lots in Paradise Park to go yet, but we're going to, finish up the houses we have. The last 10, we hope to be done by June or July. And Joel keeps working as fast as he has. They will be done. And then we're putting some hockey changing rooms in, something that's been needed for a long time. And that's about it for the town. We will plow the roads again this year and haul the snow away, and hopefully there will be lots and lots of snow to haul away. Any questions? Oh, good.
Next we have Mayor Farmer, Mayor Janet, as you prefer.
Yes, I do prefer. And I know quite a few of you, and a number of you I don't know, and probably haven't seen my face necessarily associated with this position. I got into it 7 months ago and still learning the job, and I'd like to meet you guys if I haven't met you. We're moving into our second year of winter season with Vail Resorts, and which is obviously we see as a long-coming economic boost for us. And as I've talked to residents in our Crested Butte, we see that as a really positive opportunity for our community. And the working relationship between Vail Resorts and our town staff has been great so far, so that's all looking great. Other aspects of our economy have to do with a number of upcoming projects, and then the big thing that happened last week with the passing of the SDR lodging tax that will start on January 1. And Carl, our finance director, has estimated we may pull in as much as $900,000 a year to go directly to workforce affordable housing. And so we're really excited about that. The council will be having a work session at their next meeting next Tuesday to start talking about the priorities that we want to set for how those funds will be dispersed. I mean, there were a few things listed in the ballot comment, but we want to see if there's other things and put an order on those. Then some of the projects that we have coming up is the first one would be Homestead, which will be 22 end of 2020, and those will be for sale units that we've heard there's already a number of people on the list for those, so we're pretty relieved about that. The next thing would be Nordic Village, which I've probably been seeing and hearing about for some time with the sale of that to Dr. Claudio Alvarez, and he is just, I mean, his ideas and his vision for what he would like to do with that property has been really exciting and fun to watch his enthusiasm, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity with creating a new little downtown village concept down there with some restaurants and shopping and maybe even a little chapel, and just kind of really creating a little town. It will also have the new Rumble second campus, which we're excited to have that as part of our community. And the other piece of it will be a lot of workforce affordable housing. The council will be talking soon about how many units we really think we need to try and put on the parcel F that's our part of all of this. And I have no idea what that number is going to come out to be, but we'll be talking about that. And then the last big project that will be coming up, and we will be voting on this on Tuesday night, is we're looking at a major PUD alteration for the Nordic Inn. And if it goes through as presented right now, or in the new presentation, it would be 144 hotel rooms with a conference area and 220 parking spaces. So it's a pretty big deal, and we'll see what happens on Tuesday night. As far as the climate action stuff, so far we've been kind of soaking up what Crested Butte has been doing, But over the next 6 months, we will be doing a greenhouse gas inventory. And then as that goes on, the council, as soon as we get through these other couple things we have to deal with, like what we're doing with the SDR tax and how many houses we want on North Village, then we'll start working on what our goals and objectives are for climate action. And, I have no idea where that was going. The one thing Ashley told me I was supposed to talk about was the sales taxes. And our winter sales taxes from 2018 to 2019 went up by 5.73%, but our summer sales taxes have gone down by 3%. But it was interesting, I found this interesting, I didn't realize this until Carl sent it to me. For the last 10 years, our winter sales taxes have gone up from $4 million to $33 million. And our summer grew from 8 million to 19 million. So, we all gripe about how many people are here during the summer now, but, they're bringing in a lot of sales tax that we can do great things with. So, does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Yes? What, Jim?
I just wanted to thank Janet. I think the two towns have been working together better in all the years that I've been on council, and that's been 30 years now. So it's been a real pleasure to work with the whole council up there on affordable housing, on climate action program, transportation, a lot of different things. So
Jim and I have been friends for 40 years. And so working together now is really nice, and we're trying to spread that beyond just our friendship to the friendship between the councils and the towns in general. And hope it works out well. Thank you.
Next we have Scott. Just Scott?
Just me.
And from the RT?
You wish Anthony was here. He's a lot more entertaining than let's go ahead and get started. Last summer we flew daily flight from Houston, and the results were good. They were very good, except that we started a little bit early. We started in June 6th, which is a lot earlier, about 3 weeks earlier than usual, and that was not our choice, but that was what was given to us. And so we ended up paying the MRG cap, the minimum revenue guarantee cap, for that service. But we did bring in 27% more people on that flight. But there was a 60% increase in capacity, so the load factor was down, and that's why we have to pay. So we're hoping that we'll start this flight a little later next year, maybe a compromise for like 10 later. And then this coming winter, I think this is the first time we're going to talk about forecasting tonight. I'm not sure. This coming winter, we will have flights from Denver, Houston, and Dallas, as we have in the past few years. Go ahead. And Denver, I can't read it. I'm sorry. Denver is very similar to last year, and you can see the schedule here. We get to 3 times daily for the Saturdays from February 15th to March 28th. It's a very good schedule connectivity-wise. We don't have the overnight this year, so it's not as good for us going out, but it's very good for guests coming in. What's the next one? We got Dallas. And Dallas is also very similar to last winter. Twice daily on Saturdays again from mid-February to mid-March. Daily the rest of the time, and then twice daily at the holidays, just like last year. And these are on the big Airbus planes. And then the news that we have is for Houston. We're going to expand to daily service this year from Houston. It's on a regional jet. It's a smaller plane than we've flown in the past, but it's going to be every day instead of just during the holidays and on the weekends in the spring. So that gives us 4,500 more inbound seats. It's an increase of about 14% over what we had last winter. So that's the good news. The next slide will tell us how we're doing. And actually, I was prepared to say, I had to send a new slide to Ashley today, because I was prepared to say we weren't sure how we were doing, but we are now looking pretty certain that we're doing pretty well. You can see how the red line is curving up. 6 or 7 weeks ago, we were about 1,509 last year, and now we're only 570. So, I'm sorry, I'm blocking everybody over here. So yeah, we're very optimistic about how we're going to end up, and I'm sure that the Tourism and Prosperity Project people and the CVMR will talk about the projections for the winter. But because we have more seats in the marketplace, we need to get that line above last year's lines to have the same load factors and not have to pay the caps again. But it does look like it's trending very well. December is slightly down, January is slightly down, February is up, and March is slightly down. So on average, we're down just a little bit, but I think we'll get there. Bus service. This is, I just wanted to give a little history of the number of round trips that we've done over the past 10 years on the buses. You can see the growth of the system. The last 4 seasons in 2019, we increased every season substantially. I think substantially. Some are not quite as much as the others. And then this coming winter, we're going to do 28 round trips. So last winter, we drove the bus, this equivalent of going to Pittsburgh every day. And this summer, we're going to go to Philadelphia every day. So 28 round trips is a little over 1,800 and some odd miles that we're doing every day. Last winter, we carried over 1,000, or just about 1,000 people a day on that bus service, which I never thought we would ever do. So I'm pretty happy with that. Go to the schedule here. You can't really read it, but the red is the express schedule. If you're familiar with our bus system, we have an express service, northbound in the mornings and southbound in the evenings. We're going to change it so that the first 2 trips in the morning are not express. So people can go from Gunnison to CB South or CB South to Crested Butte or Mount Crested Butte. And so that's new. We can't run our buses into CB South during the peak times because they are full. And it doesn't make any sense to pull a full bus into the bus stop and say, sorry, we're full. So we work with Mountain Express, and they run their buses into CB South during those times. And so we have good service. And if you pull forward 2 more slides, you'll see the CB South schedule. And so this is the CB South schedule. It's really robust. I think everybody will be happy with it. And the next thing is about our green fleet. We've been working really hard to convert our fleet to compressed natural gas. Electric buses are a great idea, but they do not work in our environment. This is the best we can do in terms of reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. We initially got 2 of these big buses that were diesel powered because we didn't have the fueling station at the time, and we needed to replace some buses. And so we have 2 diesel buses, and now we have 4 CNG buses. We will have a 5th CNG bus by this time next year, and if everything goes the way I hope it will, have a 6th one in 2 years. These are all grant-funded buses. Electric buses are $1 million. These things are $750,000. These CNG buses, so they're really expensive buses. They should go 1 million miles. They should last us 12 to 14 years, and they carry a lot of people. They're 57 passenger buses, and I think they're very comfortable. Big buses. And finally, we just have the senior service, which we've expanded in Gunnison in the evening, Monday through Friday till 7 now. Used to go till 4. We're carrying over 1,300 passenger trips per month now on the senior service, and I just think it's a wonderful thing. And I just wanted to share that with you. So, any questions?
Scott?
Yeah.
Is there ever any talk about airline service to the East Coast?
We have tried airline service to the East Coast over the years. There's no plans to do that right now. Our goal right now is to really solidify the service to the major hubs that we serve now. You can get anywhere in the world from Houston, from Dallas, and from Denver. And our goal right now is to actually try to get more year-round service out of those 3 hubs, and then look at where else we can go. But it probably wouldn't make sense to go to the East Coast because you need to have a closer hub that can go to lots of places. And if you go all the way out to, say, New York, then you've got to, then people are kind of backtracking to go back to the other places.
Hi everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Andrew Sandstrom. In the back over here we have Brian Boyle, who's actually our new marketing director. So definitely go introduce yourself to him. He came most recently from Western, but prior to that, the Denver Post and CNN before that. So has a really great background, and we're happy to have him on our team. So we kind of have two major ways of looking forward to this winter. One being Destometrics and two being air. We've launched our winter marketing efforts in the past 2 weeks or so. We have about $200K in air-specific marketing, primarily in the Houston and Dallas areas.
Thank you.
$200K in destination ski marketing, so that's going to be more general, wider net that we're casting. CBMR will be spending $250K on additional air marketing that used to come through the Tourism Association. And another thing to note is that Vail did not execute their own marketing plan last year. Instead they executed former ownership's plan. So for all intents and purposes, in a lot of ways, we're in year one of Vail. I think they probably will talk about some of the branding that they've done, and we feel they've done a wonderful job in capturing what our valley is all about. So, as I mentioned, there's sort of two main predictors in how our winter's looking. So the first being Destometrics. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Destometrics, we have 12 properties valley-wide that submit data on a monthly basis. And then this data is on both occupancy and rate. So then we can actually look forward on what's on the books versus what was last year. We are seeing a trend down this winter so far. I will say that generally we are seeing a change in booking patterns as we've become more and more of a drive market and less of a destination market. We're seeing people book closer in, more dependent on snow, some of those other factors, especially with something like an Epic Pass when they can go ski anywhere in the state. They wait and see what's going to happen. And so kind of as a good example, so currently November is down 5%. Last November, as of the same report that I pulled, we were down 22% in occupancy, but by the time November finished, we were up 2%. So again, we're seeing, and that's compared to previous years. So we're seeing people booking closer in, booking patterns are changing. Again, we are seeing down, especially earlier in the winter months. We've just turned on our marketing. We're gonna keep an eye on these numbers, and we're gonna kind of make a call mid-December to see if we need to pull some more funding forward to try to push some of the later winter, kind of depending on how that performs. But as I said, as the years have gone on, we're seeing later and later bookings. So kind of our next way of measuring future economic forecasting would be the airline outlooks. Currently, as Scott had mentioned, we are down 7%. That's total passengers coming in, but we're catching up very fast. We turned on our marketing about 2 weeks ago, and we've seen, we've made up 1,400 seats since the marketing is turned on. So we've seen this huge increase since we've turned on the marketing. Another big difference this year to last year is there was no buy-down effort. In the past, most of the winter marketing was very much focused on discounting, and it was packages where they would buy down your airline ticket. And I think to a certain extent we started to get the customers attuned to waiting for the deal to come out. And so we're not doing that this year. Instead of going after just more people, we're trying to go after better people. Last year at the same time, we were down 19% in air seats over the last year, and we ended the season flat. December and January are each down a few hundred seats. As Scott mentioned, February's up, March is down a little bit, but combined they are pacing ahead of last year. So, generally we are very pleased with the efforts now that we've turned the marketing on. And so as I mentioned, one thing that is very much playing into these numbers is the changing patterns of bookings and our guests. We've seen over the last 10 years an incredible shift to front range and drive market and much less destination traffic. And with that, we're seeing later and later bookings, more weather dependent, all those kinds of things. Another big piece that I mentioned is previous winter marketing efforts were very much the approach was to market the discount. You know, fly free, ski free, and instead of that, the focus is now changing to attracting the right guest instead of just more guests. And so, to put it in perspective, in the Destometric set, which compares us to 16 other mountain destinations, the average daily rate across those destinations is about $450 a night, and we're sitting at about $150 a night. So in the wintertime in particular, we're in the bottom 5 for occupancy and the bottom 5 for rate. So wintertime, we definitely need to drive more demand to get those rates up, and we hope that by starting to attract the right people instead of just more people, we're going to get there. In the summertime, we have a little bit of different of a picture. Our occupancies are within the top 5 of the Destometric set, but our rates are still in the bottom 5. So we're still cheap in the summertime in comparison to our Destometric set. And so we're hoping, you know, in the summertime, instead of bringing more people here, let's raise our rates to get, you know, to get more on par with demand. So I tried to keep it to 5 minutes so we could have some questions. Anybody?
What's the profile of the right guest? Who is that target?
So, you know, I don't know if Vail's going to speak to their branding at all, but we're doing some branding work as well. But it's people that maybe share some of our values. They're into the small town. They like the quirkiness. They're, you know, more into the adventure and getting after the, you know, the steep terrain, some of those kinds of things, and are willing to go the distance to get here. Because we're, you know, the fact of the matter is we're not an easy destination to get to. Whereas before, I think some of the marketing was more focused at, oh, we're, you know, family friendly and it's, you know, great, we're easy to get to with a flight, and I think maybe those weren't completely true. Whereas I think this new branding, this new branding approach seems to be much more true to who we are. And I think with that, we'll get them here and they'll enjoy it more because it you know, we're telling a truthful story. So
what is that marketing message that you're telling?
So us in particular at TAP, a lot of what we're going out with our winter marketing, we're running a lot of our Never Neverland series. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Basically, it kind of looks at characters within the valley. So it's, you know, you kind of have your local tour guide, and it really delves into what drives their passion for being here. And so it's very much based on the people and the place and their, you know, their passions. And so we kind of follow a few of them through their different passions that all kind of cut across the different activities and amenities that are available here. We did see those campaigns performing a little bit better than some of our other ones, so we have gone after that. And we hadn't done as much marketing in Houston and Dallas in the last few years, so we're actually recycling some of the material that we've used in past years in the broader market. So that's our message. I don't know if Vail's going to speak to theirs. I don't know if you guys have seen some of their new branding, but it very much aligns a lot more with what TAP has done in the last few years, and we're very, very happy to see that, definitely.
It seems like we're not marketing church groups and that kind of stuff anymore. I always had problems with that because they were, you know, very low end. They brought their own food with them and 12 people to a room. But it's kind of interesting because now I work for Alpine Express and I pick up a fair amount of people that say, I first came out here with a church group 20, 30 years ago. And I have no idea how you track that, if that makes a difference, or if anybody is marketing church groups anymore.
You know, I can't say that we at TAP are going after group business. I know that the resort has always historically gone after group business. I know that Elevation has gone after group business. We in the valley here are at a little bit of a disadvantage compared to some of our competitors in the amount of conference space that we have. We can't house a massive conference like some bigger areas can. But there are efforts, you know, out there for going after groups, absolutely. Not from TAP's perspective, but you know, some of the other entities are going after group. Anybody else?
Well, thanks, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
We'll wrap it up with Tim Baker from Crestview Mountain Resort.
Well, good evening, everyone. For those of you who haven't met, I'm Tim Baker, I'm General Manager about a year now. I remember the last time that I was at this
Let's
meeting.
not.
I said the wrong thing. I'm not going to say that this year. So I apologize again for that faux pas this time last year. But so I will have to apologize because I didn't come super prepared to talk a lot about kind of marketing strategy. So I'll touch on a little bit of it. I think the discussion and the presentation that you just did was very much in line with kind of the approach that we're taking from CBMR's perspective. We really want to celebrate what Crested Buttes always been and what's unique about this place, and not try to target the things that Crested Butte has a really difficult time owning. We really want to celebrate the things like the extreme terrain and the fact that we are difficult to get to. One of our marketing taglines is that we are the untamed destination at the end of the road, and that's really the way that we're trying to position this. That with a bit of effort, there can be unspoiled rewards at the tail end of that. And so we're really trying to tailor our message to the type of unique experiences that folks really want to travel to get to a place like Crested Butte, and try to be very distinct and very unique. And we've said many times that we've got a large portfolio of resorts all around the world now, and we don't have a Crested Butte, and that actually puts us in a really interesting, unique, and exciting position when we think about the way that we want to position and market this destination, because we don't really have to compete. We don't compete against the other resorts in our portfolio. We get to be very out of the box and creative in ways that ultimately are what make Crested Butte a very special place. So so that's what our intended approach is to focus on the things that we can own and not try to be things that we necessarily can't. Now that doesn't mean that some of the things that have been the focus of the past no longer matter. I've gotten a lot of questions around what does that mean about families. Families are absolutely something that we will set up specific experiences for them, welcome them with open arms, and we believe that this is a great place to be with families. But it's very difficult to get out in the place and use that as a central platform when we're out against other resorts that are very much tailored to that. And so we want to focus on the things that we can own and what are distinct and unique about Crested Butte. And we're continuing to learn. I've learned some things tonight that will help us continue to tailor our messaging. I mean, we still continue as a company to have a lot to learn and experience. And looking back on the last winter season, it was one that was very unique. We dealt with a lot of challenges from an integration perspective. The weather was a unique year, and people kept saying, well, this isn't how it always is. I'm going to go ahead and assume that it is, because last year was amazing, and I took a lot of credit for it. So if it's not, I'm going to get blamed, but that's part of the job. But we're really excited about this season, and so what I want to talk a little bit about is kind of what to expect from a resort perspective. I think from an overall forecasting perspective, we all kind of know that I'm not able to dig into the details of forecasting from our overall business, but I think the way that the TAP, has organized a lot of their forecasts, is a good benchmark to look on for what to expect moving forward into the season. So I think before I get into some of the things that are new, I might touch a little bit on, maybe some expectations around peak periods. I would say that, our expectation looking forward throughout the season is that peak periods should be very similar to what they've been historically. We don't, looking back over historical data and how things, rolled out last year, there doesn't seem to be a lot of variance in how the peak periods line up. For Christmas, we expect visitation to ramp up around the 22nd. And should remain pretty robust this year, hopefully through the end of the New Year's week. So around January 3rd is kind of where we see, that peak period continuing through. The visitation patterns during MLK weekend and President's Day weekend, the Friday tends to be the big arrival day, with Saturday, Sunday, and spilling into Monday, continuing to be pretty robust business. So we certainly expect, both the towns to be very busy on that Friday night leading into those weekends. And looking at spring break, the spring break weeks actually kind of line up similar to what they were last year. We see Texas being the second week of March. And then it's kind of a combination of Texas and Oklahoma the second or the third week of March. I think Austin this year is also tied with Oklahoma, which actually works out really well because this is a great market for Austin. Combine those with our Oklahoma folks, as long as they don't wear their colors, things are usually okay. So So that'll be the third week, and then Front Range Spring Break is the fourth week in March, just like it was last year. So, I think for the Front Range, it's interesting. I think it depends on how the season progresses. I think we all know that the Front Range Spring Break visitation really depends on what is going on down on the Front Range and how much they've skied, what the conditions have been. Are they tired? Have they gotten their bikes out and their golf clubs? I think last year the conditions were so good that the Front Range Spring Break was probably not quite what we expected, but we'll see how things shake out this year. So that's kind of where we see things shaking up. We are staying open later this year. We won't close until April the 12th on Easter Sunday. So excited to have some extended season well into the spring period. So looking forward for this year, we're actually off to a great start. While it's been kind of warm during the days, we're actually making really good progress with snowmaking. We're pretty much connected all the way to the top of the Red Lady on Lower Keystone. We're working on the Peachtree Pod right now, and our expectation is, if we didn't get a lot of natural snow between now and opening, our anticipation is that we want to open with Red Lady Express, Peachtree for kind of the beginner pod. And then we hope to connect down on Lower Forest Queen all the way down to the bottom of Paradise, and then connect over into the new Teocalli lift. So we're hoping to open on opening day with our new Teocalli lift. So that's our target, and I feel cautiously optimistic with that right now. On what we're seeing, it's continuing to get cold. If you've been up in the base area, we've got some big piles that we're going to start dozing out the next couple of days, and the resort will start to take shape really quick. So feeling pretty good going into the season. I mentioned a little bit, our Teocalli lift is our big project this year. We got our load test finalized about a week and a half ago, so we got those keys and we're ready to go with that lift. Assuming we get snow down there, we'll be ready to go on opening day. It's a fixed grip quad that'll increase when you take into account the change in the chairs and the number of the chairs on the line, the actual uphill capacity increases by 50% compared to what it was in the past. And then the top terminal of that lift is in a completely new location. It's right up next to the Red Lady Express. So when you get off of Teocalli, you can either ski off to your left and go back down to the Paradise Pod, or ski to your right and get right back onto the front. So it's shifted over pretty significantly from where it was in the past. So we're really excited about what that lift is going to mean with number one, redundancy from the Paradise Pod. I lost a lot of sleep last year wondering if the Paradise lift was going to go down. I have to haul people out of there. Now having redundancy, I'm going to sleep a lot better this year. So excited about that lift. A lot of work on the overall lift fleet as a whole. New drive on the Silver Queen, new comm line on the Silver Queen, new drive on Paradise, new drive on the Painter Boy lift, and a variety of upgrades on some of our controls and just systems that we'll continue to invest. We've got continued work to do over multiple years, and we're going to continue that work to ensure the reliability of that fleet for the experience of yourselves, our locals, and our guests. So a lot of work there. Also new this year, we'll have the Vail Resorts Epic Mix platform. So you'll see gantries at all the lifts that'll give you access to be able to see what your number of days skied for the season, your vertical feet skied, what lifts you've ridden. There'll be all kinds of challenges built into it where you can earn virtual pins that a lot of people use for talking on social media. It's interesting. I didn't realize how much I valued that until I didn't have it last year. Because for me, the way that I use Epic Mix is I can then look and see, okay, I did 15,000 vertical feet on a day, and you get to the point where you know what a 15,000 vertical feet day feels like. And when you don't do it, you're like, oh man, I could have pushed myself for a few extra laps. And so that's how I use it. But it also kind of gives you something to put out there to social media and talk to your friends and family. And so it's been a very successful platform. That'll be online on day one. And then along with that, we'll launch what's called Epic Mix Time. So this year you'll be able to get on the Epic Mix app and you'll be able to see the live wait times on the Paradise lift, the East River lift, the North Face lift, and the High lift. We didn't put it on the lifts at the bottom of the mountain because once you're at the resort, you're going to want to go up to the top, and that's where you want to know where those lines are. So excited about that. That'll be online. It'll probably take a few weeks. It actually takes a little bit of time for the lifts to learn, and once people flow through the maze queues, it's I don't know how they have it set up, but it has sensors, but it's way smarter than I am. But it'll tell you how much the wait times are on the lift. Believe it or not. So that's a piece. Opening day this year, be a little bit different. You know, those of you who've been around for a while probably remember Donation Day. What we're doing this year is called the Community Giving Celebration. And what it's intended to do is really combine the spirit of Donation Day with just the traditional opening day. So we're still partnering with the Crested Beach Snow Sports Foundation. Vail Resorts is going to match contributions up to $10,000 for a contribution to them. So you're encouraged to give anytime between now and opening day. But all passes will be open just like a normal opening day, but still with a celebration mindset for giving throughout the community, with this year's beneficiary being the Crested Beach Snow Sports Foundation. A few more quick changes. You'll see some new menus. We're really trying to elevate the culinary experience within some of the food and beverage outlets. We're going to do some chicken and waffles in the mornings in View 66. So being from Texas, I'm really excited about that. We're going to try out some burritos, breakfast burritos in the mornings at Paradise for those who want to get out and get some good powder turns early in the morning and then want to come in and take a break. Those will probably be on the weekends. You know, we're looking at bringing some ribs online in View 66. I'm a big barbecue guy, so I've had to taste test a lot over the last couple of weeks. It's been a lot of fun. And then last thing I'll mention, you'll notice a lot of new uniforms. So everyone on the mountain will have new uniforms this year. So all the instructors will be in blue uniforms, lift operators in kind of the darker blue, and then all of the mountain hosts who have traditionally been in yellow, they'll be in red uniforms coming up this year. So you'll see some new colors out on the mountain. Shouldn't take long for everybody to kind of figure out you know, where everybody is and who they are, what they do. So yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to summarize. I mean, we're excited for the season, feel really good where we're going, made great progress with the air program, particularly over the last couple of weeks, and feel like, you know, in the coming weeks that momentum will continue. I think as Andrew mentioned, you know, we've seen throughout the industry the continued closing of the booking window, and that's just continuing as time goes on, and it definitely brings a fair bit of tension this time of year. You know, but fortunately, you look back over the last couple of years and you look at how things, you know, have been pacing around this time of year. It's tough to not like what is going on, but you know, but we feel very confident as a company and member of this community that we're right on track for what should be a successful season. So let us know. Questions? Yes.
Is the Epic School Pass part of this Crested Beach Mountain to do the Epic School Pass?
The Choice Pass we did, but the
So you know how that, like, on the front row, you used to be able to, the kids would get 4 days and it failed, Beaver Creek.
yes, that is something that is eligible here. Yeah. Other questions?
Tim, you said you had a whole bunch of new drives on the exhibit. What do you mean by new? A new drive motor?
Yeah, it's just the mechanical side of it. It's one of the most important pieces of the lift that ensures that it does what it needs to. And you know, you could either go down the road of rebuilding one or putting new ones in, and there were just a number of them that we just needed to replace outright. So.
Do you have any idea how many hours you were down last year on different lifts and how
I
many?
don't. Yeah, I don't have that. Sorry. All right. Thank you all. See ya.
Oh, okay. We have another slide about me. Thanks again for coming. Thanks to our presenters for sharing their information. Thanks to Stan and the Malarty Theater for having us and hosting us tonight. If you have any questions, or want any follow-up information, please feel free to email me or drop your email off. Just write it on the sign-in sheet anywhere in that, well, within the next couple of pages in that notepad, and I will email out the presentations to you. We also have Facebook Lived it tonight, so I'll have the video available, and I'll put it in our weekly e-blast and back up on our Facebook page. So if you miss anything and you want to see it, it will be up there. Oh yeah, and one more reminder that our November business after hours is at CB Nordic Center with the Octopus Coffee, and I hope you can join us on November 26th. That's all. Thanks.